my presentation today is how to attract investment dollars now the world has changed. So who needs to attract investment dollars? For your region, for your cause? Both? Either? Who wants to increase their profitability if you're a commercial organisation? Anyone? If you don't put your hand up and you're a commercial organisation, I really worry about you being at this conference. What about increasing your resilience? We keep hearing throughout the conference of the things that have happened to us and the things that are going to happen to us. You want to increase your positive impacts? Yes. You want to decrease your negative impacts, and we all have them, whether we like them or not. Increase your team engagement. Everyone who's got a team, I know probably most of you have got a team that you work with. And last of all, in the great resignation that we're now living through, and I'm sure we've heard throughout the conference, and I was at another conference 2 weeks ago, and the biggest problem facing everybody is getting team, getting staff, getting workers. So apart from the dollar bit, I'm going to be talking a little bit about these other positive outcomes that we're all looking for, I think. So my name is Bronwyn Reid. I've been an owner of businesses for 25 years. I'm a director of an environmental company. We started that 25 years ago when we moved back to Australia after a decade of wandering the planet. Since then, I've become a 2-times author, a speaker, a small business mentor, and a small business advocate. I also was a part-time uni lecturer for 12 years. So my happy space is in that intersection of small business and education. That's where I'm happiest, that's where I'm at my best. A lot of my work revolves around the relationship between small companies and big businesses. How they do, and sometimes don't, interact very well. Our small environmental company has spent 25 years supplying to the likes of Rio Tinto, BHP, Glencore, Arrow, all the names you know. So we've had a long years of experience of being a very small organisation supplying to very large organisations. Adrian's nodding her head back there. I'm also a corporate escapee, so I've seen what happens on the other side of the fence as well, not just from the small business point of view. As I said, I was a nomad for over a decade. And a lot of the companies, the countries and the regions that we lived in were underdeveloped parts of underdeveloped countries. So they're the sort of places where investment dollars literally makes a difference between the life quality or even life and death of the population. I'm eternally curious. I am not a financier. I'm going to put a big disclaimer right up front. I am not a financier. I'm just a business owner that's been in business for 25 years, wandering around the planet, and I have just taught myself to always have my spider senses on for what's going on around me and trying to interpret that through the eyes of a regional small business owner. Now, this is the first time I have done this presentation. This is new material for me. I've brought together about 3 or 4 different themes that I would normally do. So I may skip some slides if I'm watching my little timer here. So if I do skip some slides, please don't be concerned. You will get the full gist of the presentation. We talked about the crises that are facing us now, or the potential crises. That was actually my second book that I released in 2021. It's about small businesses facing crises and how to prepare for, respond to and then recover from a business crisis, and not just a natural disaster, a divorce in the family, a death in the family, all those sorts of things. My first book was about how the small businesses and the big businesses should work together better, and we've heard quite a lot about that from other speakers at the conference. So today I am going to deliver to you a new model for investment finance. Again, I am not a financier. This is my observations from reading, looking, and generally just living. I'm going to have a look at what the investment scene is like now. Then we're going to have a look at a little bit of terminology. A lot of terms that get thrown around, but we don't really know how to differentiate between them. I'm then going to look at purpose, the purpose of an organisation, why organisations need to have a purpose, what your purpose could or should be, and then I'm going to finish up with a small section on how to put your purpose into action. So that's our plan for today. So who's here? Have we got local government here? Yes? Private industry? Development organisations? Always looking for money? Who else? Who else have we got in here? An investor. Oh. If you all just move over here and cuddle up to this table. He's the man with the money. So presumably all of you have come here to listen to me today because you've got an interest in investment dollars, either getting them, raising them, using them. So the world's changed a lot since COVID, and I know that every single speaker says that, but it's just true. When COVID hit, I was in Antarctica. Oops, these are not progressing. There we are. I was in Antarctica when COVID hit, on a ship, and there was no communication with the outside world. We used to get a little one-page A4 sort of world news summarised every morning, and that was our connection with the outside world. So when we came back from Antarctica, this whole thing was opening up in front of us. I managed to get all the way back to Australia, through Argentina, through Chile, and back to Australia safely into my little home. When COVID hit, a lot of things happened. First of all, there was a lot of government support. Governments flooded markets with dollars. We all know about that, because governments are absolutely terrified of what happens when cash runs dry. And our friend over here, I'm sure, will be able to tell us about that. No? If you ever want to see a video about how terrified governments get when cash runs dry, have a look. Just go. It's on YouTube, I think. Panic, the untold story of the 2008 financial crisis. That's just a little aside there. So it wasn't just governments that supported organisations, it was the communities as well. We saw communities coming together. We saw communities supporting their own communities. Alternative finance slowed, so that's things like leasing, factoring, all of those sources really slowed down. In Australia, almost alone in the world, our banks stopped lending. 1 in 4 small businesses could not raise a loan. And Australia was fairly unique in the world in that. But equity finance was actually still strong. Fast forward to 2022. Our capital markets have bounced back, but there has been damage. Our global equities are down about approximately 20%. Government bond, the benchmark, down about 9%. It's been a bumpy ride, you know. Anybody looking at their superannuation balances will have experienced probably a couple of heart-stopping moments. Now we've got inflation. We've got a war in Europe. We've got new pandemic lockdowns in China and therefore a slowdown in the Chinese economy. We've got rising interest rates. As I said, we've got inflation. And the political situation in the USA is unstable, to say the least. So we've got a few hurdles that we're facing. So what is actually, in the face of all that, what does getting finance look like now? We've had massive upheavals, so we're going to have massive changes. And we've been hearing about them at the conference. It's been a really general theme of this conference. Investment dollars are around. There are lots of them, but they are harder to get. Now, before, what did you have to do? What did you have to present to get money? What did you have to do? Tony, what did you have to do?
Put together a pitch deck and a business case.
Yep, business case.
And just kiss a lot of frogs.
You had to have, the pitch deck, you had to have the business case, you had to have, yeah, presumably hard data, all that stuff. Now, you're all familiar, you've done it 1,000 times. You need to have something unique to sell to attract the dollars. And all of those things that we've been doing for 30 years, 40 years. But there is now one more piece. And this is the important piece. It's called purpose. Things have changed. COVID has changed everything. And I know that sounds really, really trite, but it's actually true. We now have to consider other things that our financiers are looking for. They're looking not just at those other things that we looked at before, the plan and the hard data and the unique and the investment structure and all that stuff. Now they're looking for our social responsibility and our social impact. And that's the whole theme of my presentation today. And without that, you are now not going to get the dollars. So I'll give you a message right up front of the presentation. Don't get left behind. Take account of that missing piece. So this is the start of what I've called a new model for investment finance. Now, instead of just presenting you with a new model, I'm going to build it with you from the ground up. So normally models are presented, from the top down and work through it, but I'm going to go the other way. So the first questions I want to ask you is, what outcomes do you want for your business or your organisation? You might want to just jot a few down on the pieces of paper. What are you after? What do you go to work in the morning looking for? This is a workshop. You have to... Dividend yield?
Capital growth.
Yep.
Security.
Mm-hmm.
Safe market.
As in low risk, as in country risk, region risk?
Oh, demographic.
Okay.
Get some details.
Yep. This is a workshop, so you have to do some work.
What return
Return on
on investment?
investment?
Passive income.
Passive income? Filling a gap. Yep.
Growth.
Growth. That's a good word. So we want profit. Do you want to last more than 5 years? Do you want to have an impact? Nobody wants to have an impact. Okay, good. Otherwise, you're all in the wrong room. That's just a little list that I put together, just off the top of my head. We want our businesses to be resilient in the face of whatever nature or the economy is going to throw at us next. We want that social licence. Now, I personally do not like the term social licence. Do you all know what that term means? You're all familiar? Anyone not? No? Some may or may not know. Come on, it's a workshop, guys. You've got to do some work. Your social licence is your acceptability in the community where you were operating. A really very good example of that is the coal seam gas companies. They did not engage with their communities and they pretty much lost their social licence. They were not welcome in the communities where they wanted to operate. So if you want those outcomes for your business, who do you need to get those outcomes? Who do you need around you to get those outcomes? You're going to do it all by yourself. Sorry? Locals, yes.
You need advocates.
Yes.
So you need, former clients or current clients that will sing your praises, referrals, or,
Yep. Do you need any employees? You need your team. You need probably some customers. You need some shareholders, maybe, if you're a company, well, certainly if you're a listed company. And you also need your financiers. You need your investors. Because they're the ones that are providing the dollar. Now, your financier in your early stages of growth might be you, or it might be the triple Fs, friends, family and fools. But you've got to get your money from somewhere. So how do you get those people to deal with you, to stay with you, to actually apply to work with you, to supply you with goods, to buy from you? There is a word that encompasses all of that. Trust. All of those people must trust you if you're going to have a productive relationship with them. Your employees trust you to provide a good place of work, a safe place of work. Your financiers trust that you're going to be able to pay back the money that you borrowed from them. So trust is a very important issue here. And unfortunately, trust has gone to the dogs. Trust has declined remarkably, and especially over COVID. So on the seats around are some little cards with a QR code on them. So if you just whip out your mobile phone, I don't know if that works. That might be too big. If you just whip out your mobile phone, and if the technology gods are on my side today, there's some cards up here up the front if anybody would like them. We're going to do a little questionnaire, a little poll. About trust. Now, has the quiz come up on your phones? Please. The gods are on my side today. So there's a series of questions there. I'd like you to work through those questions and put your answers in. And then if you could let me know when you're finished. The first one's quite straightforward. For those 4 types of organisations, do you trust them? Okay, we've got 13 answers now, so I'm taking from that most of you have completed the questions. Anyone not? Want some more time? Okay. These questions are from 2 surveys. Now, has anyone heard of the Edelman Trust Barometer? Is it James? Rob has. The Edelman Trust Barometer is a survey that is done annually. It was done twice in 1 year during COVID. And it surveys 36,000 people all around the world about how much they trust and who they trust. Now, this survey has been going for 22 years, so we've got a really good track record of who we trust and who we don't trust. The other survey I've drawn this from is one by Deloitte, and it's called the Purpose Premium. So both of these are highly reputable. They survey thousands and thousands of people. So the first question that you answered was, who do you trust? Government, NGOs, media, or business? And I can see from the results that business is the only trusted organisation. The Edelman Trust Barometer goes anything above 50 is trustworthy. Government has actually gone down, and media has gone down. Business, that's us, some of us, as the only trusted organisation. Who do we trust? We do not trust our government leaders. We do not trust our journalists. We kind of trust our CEOs. Now it starts to get a little bit more interesting. Citizens of my country. We start to get into the my. We're getting into the local here. People will trust what they know. They will trust people in their own community. They will trust their own CEO. They will trust their own co-workers, and they will trust scientists. Even after all the madness during COVID and the anti-vaxxing and the conspiracy theories, people still trust scientists. This is an interesting one. The question about fake media, 76% of people believe or they worry about fake information. Hardly surprising. This one is also very interesting. CEOs are expected to be the face of change. So they're looking to you. They're looking to you as a CEO or a senior manager of your organisation for trust. Next one. My tendency is to distrust until I see evidence that something is trustworthy. That other question on the right-hand side, we didn't ask that one. Yeah, it is a good one. And it's very true. I think I'm with the majority on that one. I'm more loyal to brands that do something positive for society. And I'm more loyal to brands that are giving me the best price and convenience. Oh. Whoops. Oops, what's happening here? No? Oh, we've got some out of sync. So we've got a slight majority for people who are doing something positive for society over price. I am willing to leave a company that acts in ways that contradicts its publicly stated values. And you guys were exactly the same. You agreed. Your poll results were the same. I have left a company in the past. Most agree. You were the same. I would only invest in a company that has a positive impact on society. So that's gone up 10 percentage points since 2020. So are we getting a picture here of where the investment dollars are going? The way a company operates must be aligned with its claimed purpose in society, and you guys were like very close to 100% agree. Very close. So why do they trust you? Why would all those people trust you? You know, the financiers and the employees and the everything. Sorry? Connection? Yeah. Authenticity?
You do what you say you're going to do.
You do. That's the word. That's the word I'm looking for. It's your actions. It's what you actually do. Your actions are played out in your vision, your strategy, your mission, your environmental and social and governance performance. Is everyone familiar with that ESG term? Yeah? I'm not confusing anybody? Please own up if you don't. Your social impact, your corporate social responsibility, your truthfulness. That's your actions, how you are physically acting and manifesting to society. So why do you do those things? Yes, to make the impact. Presumably it's because you believe in them.
So you can lie straight in bed.
Yeah, so you can lie straight in bed. I really like that term, Helen. So you can lie straight in bed. Because it's fun. Yep. Yep. Didn't have that on my list, but you're exactly right. Business has to be fun. Yeah, has to be fun. Yeah, my happy place is doing what I'm doing now. So. The big thing, the word is purpose. That is what drives your actions. That's what you do. That's why you do what you do. What's purpose?
Our values.
Yes, values. Helen does a lot of work on values-based decision making, so she's all over this stuff. Your purpose is your meaningful and enduring reason to exist. This is just one definition that I picked up. There's as many definitions as there are times you can type into a Google search bar, but I kind of like this one. It's meaningful and it's enduring. And it provides a clear context for your daily decision making. So every time you have to make a decision about something to do with your mission, with your values, with your investing, with your employees, your purpose is driving those decisions. And it unifies and motivates all of your various stakeholders. Your employees, your customers, your suppliers buy into that purpose. I just put these couple of slides in just differentiating between purpose and corporate social responsibility. And when I started preparing this, I got really tied up in all the terms. You've got sustainability, you've got corporate social responsibility, you've got social license, you've got impact, you've got purpose, you've got ESG. Did I mention social license? Yeah. So all these words, and I couldn't figure out how they all fitted together. And I figured that if I can't figure out how they all fit together, probably a lot of other people can't figure out how they fit together as well. So that's why I started down my track of trying to build this new model. So nothing controversial about that? Or questions about that? Remember, this is a workshop and you have to do some work. So why do you need to have a purpose? We've just worked up from the bottom. You want some outcomes. So you've got to get people to trust you, to join you, to get those outcomes.
I think also, you know, the purpose needs to come from the employees and it's you know, it's like a vision and mission, like it can just be really nice words on a etched board in the foyer.
Yep.
Plan of action is made by 3 boards ago and it has never been updated.
Yeah.
And that there has to be a living purpose, like it has to be updated regularly. New people come in, new employees come in, their values need to be contributed to that. Just that whole rolling
Yep.
process.
It's called purpose washing,
Well,
greenwashing.
no. I mean, to actually
Yep.
to get a genuine purpose, you actually need to bring it through from your employees and from everyone in your organisation has to contribute to it.
It has to be at the heart.
So it's owned by everyone.
Yes, it's owned by everyone.
Yeah, and then it needs to be operational.
And a good purpose will not in entirety, but the vast majority of it will maintain through various cycles.
Yeah.
By that I mean new staff can't come in and completely turn the purpose on its head, but they can refine it and they need to own it.
Yeah, that's right.
But I worry when I see companies and a new CEO steps in and wants to actually completely change the raison d'etre of a company. I mean, maybe it needs it because it was going out the door backwards, but I think refinement to get ownership is important, but wholesale change, that generally can be a flag as well, especially for older, longer standing companies. And that's, I've seen it,
Have you seen that new documentary on Boeing? Just type Boeing into your YouTube. There's a really great documentary about how Boeing lost its purpose. Somebody you seen it? Did it shock you? Absolutely shocked me to the socks. Just how a company, as Tony said, a really long-lived company with a strong ethic, a strong purpose, just went off the rails, went off to the side. So here's the other reasons. 90% of customers will switch to support a good cause. They'll switch brands. And we are seeing this in Australia now. In COVID, we've seen so many Australians switch to local brands. Somewhere between 60 and 70% will pay a premium for an ethical product. Purpose-led companies have 50% less staff turnover. There was that team engagement that I was referring to in the first slide. 13% higher productivity and increased employee morale. Now, who would like to have those things? Me. I only have a team of 8. So, but even in my small team of 8, I'd still like to have 50% less staff turnover and 13%. Certainly I'd like the 13% higher productivity. So there's some really good and cogent reasons to have purpose. Now we're getting to the crux of the matter. The amount of sustainable investment assets. Now, impact investing, everyone okay with impact investing? There's many, many types of impact investing. In Canada, 62% of the investment money is in impact investing. So 62% of the total investment assets in Canada are looking for a home with purpose. Now, see, Australia is only 38 there. It was about 50, and there was a change in definition Oh, sorry. I don't press the button hard enough. So Australia actually was around the 50%, but there was a change in definition, so it's dropped down to about 40. In 2018, there was 23 trillion US dollars roaming the world looking for invested in socially responsible investments. So not only have we're seeing all this money that's being invested in socially responsible investments, we're seeing this fall away in trust. So you've got two big trends coming together to crash. I know I'm giving you quite a few graphs and things, but this is actually just a good one. Purposeful companies outperform the market by 42%. It's close to 50%. So why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, wouldn't you like to be the one to go to the CEO and say, hey, I've got this really great idea and it's going to increase our return by 42%. You'd probably be the hero. $53 trillion in socially responsible investments. That's up 15% in 2 years. What happened in the last 2 years? COVID. 36% of all professionally managed assets worldwide. The most common of these socially responsible strategies and investments is around ESG, around environmental, social and governance. Now, we've heard a lot about environmental today. We've heard about the mining of rare minerals. We've heard all sorts of stuff. We've heard about hydrogen, but it's not just those things. There's all sorts of impact investments. And it's actually still a very evolving. So has anyone here got a superannuation fund that they've got?
And it's socially responsible 100%. I don't care how it performs, because I know I sleep with fucking conscience and will make all the money by the time I retire.
Yes.
Because that's where the money's going.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Who's deliberately choosing socially responsible investments?
But you've got to be a little bit careful with the fine print on the funds too.
Correct.
So you need to do your research.
Yeah. You absolutely do.
My goal is divestment 100% from the fossil fuel industry.
So these are all the different. These are some different types of impact investing: environmental, social governance, corporate engagement. You can negatively screen. So I'm not going to invest in coal companies, or I am going to invest in something else. The other thing that's important here now is down the bottom there, measuring the impact. Now, this is all very new, so we're still figuring out how to do this. We haven't quite figured it out. So there's all these organisations worldwide that are figuring out definitions and measurements of how to, how do we actually rate these responsible investments? How do we decide whether it's a responsible investment or not?
What are we passing on to the next generation?
Yeah. But you know what economists are like?
Yes.
They like to have numbers. So all of these different, and there's this is just a really small sample. And you notice there's a Responsible Investment Association of Australia. So, Australia's in the mix here too. There's lots and lots of thought going on in this area. I'll skip that one. Who's aware of what Unilever's doing? Yeah, sort of?
Sustainability.
Yeah, around sustainability.
Mostly.
So Unilever is a good case study. So they have a purpose statement. Our purpose is to make sustainable living commonplace. Now, out of that purpose has come those actions. The actions are a sustainable living plan that has hundreds of targets. And I've just lost my place. And it's got hundreds of targets and commitments. It's got 3 key goals. Specifically to help more than 1 billion people a year, halve the environmental impact of making and using our products, and enhance the livelihoods of thousands of people in our supply chain. Now, is anybody aware that Unilever has actually run into a bit of trouble with this in the last month or so? Yeah, so if you, again, get on Mr. Google or Dr. Google and you'll find that there is a new investor in the company who's taking it apart a bit.
And did they make a statement publicly and then haven't been able to live up to those statements?
Yes, and as well, the new investor, who is now on the board, is a little bit old-fashioned and going back to the, let's just make a profit.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
First question is, what's the starting point for the environmental impact that will have? And is halving it, is half left still having a major impact?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But just
And that comes out of the data behind the statement.
correct. And that's where we get to greenwashing. Mahindra, that's another one, but you can look that up by yourself. ACOM, built to deliver a better world. BlackRock, to help more people experience financial well-being, and so on and so forth. These are the sorts of purpose statements. I'm going to show you sorry?
I like the Hershey one, considering they make chocolate bars.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how do I make that go?
What if business has not yet fulfilled its true potential? Is it possible that business's true purpose is to create a better society? You see, most of us want to live a meaningful life. It goes to a human truth that we want to do good. We just don't know how to go about it. And this is where business comes in. Business has the power, the scale, and the influence to create meaningful change in the world. Imagine business putting its resources, mind power, and energy into creating a better and more equitable society for all. A world where business provides homes to the homeless, food to the famished, vaccines to the vulnerable. A world where business regenerates the environment. Imagine how employees and customers would respond to those businesses, how emotionally invested they would be. Let's seize the opportunity to demonstrate the true and full potential of business to serve society's interests. Business as a force for good, brands and marketing driving profit through purpose, social purpose driving vitality in business, and profitability being the natural outcome, not the driver. That is our mission at The Cause Effect, to serve that vision of business as a force for good and to make social purpose a vital part of business. Profit through purpose. Every one of us has the opportunity to act right now, whether it is as a business leader or influencer. So let's open our minds to the possibilities we can create together when businesses connect to a meaningful higher purpose.
Is that one on YouTube?
I believe so. Yes, it is. It is. It is. Yeah, that's actually that from.
What if business has not yet fulfilled its true?
That's all right. It's fine. It's got a life of its own. That's from a lady in Sydney that I actually do quite a work with, and it was made by her daughter, which is just lovely. Now, this is where we get to the pointy bit. Purpose washing. Now, who's seen purpose washing in action? Greenwashing. Greenwashing is exactly what Helen said before. There's a really lovely statement up on the boardroom wall, and that's it. That's it. Sorry, no follow through. Look, any examples of that? Anyone? Examples?
I'm less concerned about that one. I'm concerned about it. But I'm actually more concerned about ones that are actively saying one thing and doing another. But fix and forget, or at least they had a crack. Sure, it's out of date and whatever, but, and I agree, that it needs to be updated and be living. But those people that actually portray portray themselves as something and doing something else is the bit that to me is greenwashing, where you're actually spinning a yarn to say you're doing something and you're not. That's far more dangerous.
Well, the contradictions.
As in?
Oh, like, you know, on one page of a magazine, of an organisational magazine, it says natural capital and all this good stuff they're doing, and on the opposite page, it's all about chemical usage and how to do it. I mean, you've got to pick a line.
At least be
Yeah,
consistent.
there's a point where you've got to draw a line in the sand and choosing which option you're going to take.
Mm.
Just that inconsistent. That's really classic.
Yeah. Anyone else seen classic examples of that? Do you remember when Nike got caught out with slavery in their supply chain?
Child labour, yeah.
Yeah. That was several years ago. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember.
You are. I would not have believed it, Tony.
No,
Seriously.
That's why I clarified, yeah.
And what about VW?
Yeah.
The emissions of faking the software. And there's also on YouTube a YouTube video somewhere of VW putting monkeys in the exhaust gas of cars to see the effects. So that, for a German company, that's not a good look, really. Seriously. Our own mining companies, some are doing a good job and trying really hard. And, and then there's others. Yeah, saying one thing and then here's a great example. Environmental performance. Remember also I own an environmental company, so I do see a fair bit of this. Mining companies are still allowed to bury tyres on site. So you just dig a hole and put them in. None of that recycling stuff. Just dig a hole, put them in. And so the examples go on. Nurofen, do you remember, Nurofen, the painkiller? They got caught out. It wasn't strictly greenwashing, but they were saying that this particular brand of Nurofen targets back pain. It goes straight to your back. And, well, of course it goes straight to your back. It goes everywhere else too. And they kept saying it for 11 years until eventually there was a federal court order that said you can't say that anymore. And they got fined, I don't know, I can't remember how much it was, but it was a lot of money. Those sorts of things are really being called out now. And, Nurofen suffered quite a lot of reputational damage. It's the old front page of the Courier Mail test. Do you want to be featured on the front page of the Courier Mail in a bad way? I'll say the Courier Mail because we're in Queensland. So that's purpose washing. So that's the one thing that we really don't want to do is purpose washing. Because it seems really easy, doesn't it? Well, let's just have a little workshop today and we'll get ourselves a purpose statement and then we'll all be all right. We'll just put up our little purpose statement and everyone will love us and all financiers will give us lots of money. But unfortunately, it's not that easy. It takes a lot of work. And again, Helen would, I know you do a lot of work in this area of helping companies through this process. And there actually is a lot of work to do in your organisation to get this right. But as we saw with all those trillions of dollars slushing around, and the gentleman who was here before was speaking about green energy in Asia, and he cited the number of billions of dollars that it's going to need to get this stuff going. Well, that's billions of dollars, but it's not going to go to places that don't have an ESG underlining or a corporate governance underlining or a purpose underlining. So if you're not on the train, you're going to be left behind. This is what we call the pillars of purpose. To get that purpose at the heart, and this absolute heart of your organisation, driving absolutely everything that you do and everyone's decisions. What you've probably done is, with me this afternoon, is an introduction to the first pillar. Why we need to do this, the necessity for it, delving a little bit down into what is purpose and how it differs from vision and all that sort of stuff. So this is the basics of purpose. So then, but then your purpose must flow through your brand. Now, I'm missing a whole heap of slides here on mine, but they're on here, so that's good. So your brand. What I'm going to give you now is a brief run through some models that can be used to do that and embed that purpose. Now, who's actually tried to do this in your organisation? You would have done it. And are you two ladies down the back? Yeah? How did you go about it? Just share with everybody.
We've built a business inside a larger organisation. So
Okay.
we need to have our own identity.
Right.
Not get connected, or not still be aligned to the broader parent company, but build an identity and have its purpose. And we took a while, we're 3 years in, or 5 years in terms of startup, but 3 years in where we're really kind of rejigged the purpose to go, what is it, what are we here for? And really, I think that the COVID has helped. The COVID situation, the environmental situation that we're currently in, the impacts of war and all of those different things has really, and particularly the environmental impacts, has really, or in the energy sector, has really helped us understand what our purpose is.
Yeah.
Particularly the social impacts, and differentiate ourselves from why people should come to us versus not. So we've used this
What industry? Oh, it's in. Sorry, you were in energy industry. Yeah.
and then the organisations that we partner with that have social causes to ensure that our brand and what we're
Yeah. Mm.
We were originally, the business was trying to create a new business, you go for anyone, right? Which is kind of where you go. So are we a construction business? Are we yes, we want to do construction, but let's choose who we align ourselves with. And what's their, what's their story as well, and do we want to be associated with that story? And also ensuring that we look at the value chain right back from supply as well, because we bring a lot of materials in from a construction perspective. So where are we sourcing those from? Ensuring that, modern slavery, so we've got policies that sit around all of that as well.
What's that, if you look at the Unilever example, I mean, all very well from saying that, but look what they produce.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
Yeah.
And yet they're trying to say that they're going to be supplying this wonderful future. And you just think, well, the actual ethics of the variety of products are questionable from the outset.
And that's why you've got to choose then what do you want to actually be in business doing. So some things, we may want to participate in and we've gone, well, actually we can't because we purchased that from where you go, that's not in line, so we actually can't go down this path because, manufacturing is only in China, as an example, and we can't do business there at this point in time or whatever. So it's changed, it's evolved, and it's
It's a whole product journey, like the whole product chain, but it's also a whole customer journey.
Yeah.
And it's having a very good look at where it's all coming from.
and educating customers at the same time, because they also don't know what they don't know, which is quite fascinating, particularly when they don't realise what the energy emissions, things are going to happen, they're going to have to comply with. So do they realise if they go down this path, this is what their impact will be? Maybe not today, but certainly in a few years' time, if they go down this path, well, we're actually already on the right path to helping their scope. So it's quite a
Yeah.
Or what business do we want to be in?
And this is really important for small businesses, which of course is what I mostly deal with, is small businesses, because they are going to be part of those supply chains, and so they need to be awake to this fact.
Because you can have a business today and you may not have a business tomorrow.
Correct. Just ask anyone who went through COVID in the entertainment industry or the hospitality industry.
It's also really important in customers understanding why what you might be providing as a small business may be more expensive because the inputs that go into it are very different. But being able to be transparent around that so people can make informed decisions. I think we're living in a society now where people want to understand.
Yeah.
That's how you build that trust, is you be transparent and do what you say you're going to do. And what are you doing and why are you doing it?
And I think someone said earlier, I don't know, one of the things that I saw earlier, that was that you paid more if you knew what you were paying for. And I think that, not usually now more, but incrementally you pay more to know that you're impactful, as opposed to, well, who knows what's going on behind the scenes. So that's the work that we've been building into our purpose.
Right. And that comes into every part of your business, into who you recruit, who you deal with. Yeah. 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 What is your website? Do you have a website for your division? What does your website look like? It's very modern and fresh.
Look, our purpose is about powering possibilities. We're very clear on helping connected communities. That's kind of what we're, our taglines are. But it's very much about thought leadership in the space of being green, reproduction of the environment.
So we do a lot of
Yes, renewable solar
Okay.
batteries. Sorry, Eureka.
What about you, Tony? Because you're in ag. What is what does your stuff look like?
I do corporate advisory work, so I help businesses get investment ready to then raise capital.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what I do is actually get my clients to think through the eyes of the investor, which is why I'm obviously in the room today listening to you, but because it's always very helpful. Like that slide alone is it's hugely powerful. But rounding up is me. It's my little business. I round up people, projects, and money. Rounding up's an ag term, it's a finance term. That's what I do.
Yep.
So it's very simple. But the website, has a map of Australia and every town I've been to, and a map of the world and every country I've been to. That was a COVID thing because people couldn't travel. And I said, it's okay, I've probably been everywhere, man, so I can help you. But it's interesting just hearing you today, that was a COVID website, if you like. So post-COVID, it's some of this ESG and some of which I'm subtly moving into as my value proposition to my clients, but it's not reflected in my website. My website's still 2 years old, which is, I join a long list of people whose websites are not up to date.
Yes.
But
Except our friends who have got a brand new, fresh website.
No, I'm sorry, I should have acknowledged. But other than them, and just about everyone else, so that's what it's about. But I'm very simple because I go back to trust, which you said, 20 minutes ago. People just trust me to help them. That's kind of where it's up to.
And you haven't let them down. So why I brought up the website thing is if you go to go to an accountant, type in accountants in Google and go to an accountant's website, they're going to tell you, what are they going to tell you?
We will do numbers.
They do tax.
And that's what our website was.
Yeah.
It was very one way, informational, but this is the one where how we've built it is interactive, that if you are a customer and you want to see a solution, how are you going to change the world? How are you going to power possibilities? You can see it through our website now.
Yeah.
Whereas you couldn't see it before. It was just like a very, dare I say it, government, boring,
It was a features and benefits website.
static, here I am, this is my phone number.
Yeah.
Capability
Yeah.
statement, big capability
Yeah,
statement.
exactly. And there is a place for capability statements.
Yeah, but that's not the present.
Yeah.
Front page of it.
Yeah, but if you look at some websites now, and hopefully our environmental company is one of them, I keep changing it, but it's not about we do water testing. It's about what we believe in.
It's the story.
And you know what? When we recently applied, advertised for new staff, it acted like a like an ad, It was, the number of candidates that said, oh, I applied for this job because I looked at your website and I really believe in what you do. So that was pretty cool. We got some really good candidates too. So this first little framework here, it's about thinking about your brand and getting purpose right at the heart of your brand. And my friend Caroline that did the video before, she does whole workshops on this, and she and I are working up a workshop and a whole presentation specifically geared at small businesses. She mostly works with sort of medium-sized businesses up to corporates, but I'm so driven about getting small businesses into this space as well so they can join in these supply chains that are opening up for us. We've heard about them every day in this conference, all day. So the next thing is impact, measuring our impact. Now, this is a really good framework for measuring your impact, just aligning your company with some of these sustainable development goals. They're there. Choose some.
There's a poster in the exhibit area
Oh, is there?
that picks out it's the ASAA, I think, the Sustainability Association,
Yeah.
and it picks out which of the 17 it actually actively aligns with. It's actually quite a powerful. So you're not saying we do everything, but we
No.
say we look at everything, but we're particularly strong on these 5.
Yeah.
So it means that you're being honest. You're not saying you're doing all 17, but actually, yeah, it's quite a powerful message.
It is. And it's a powerful message to do that with your team, to actually go through the exercise of like going through these goals and saying, right, which ones are we going to align our actions with? And, on your website. I mean, we're an environmental company, so we've clearly identified with some of these. Quality education, probably can't do a whole lot about that as an environmental company. But we can do an awful lot about clean water and sanitation. Clean water, that's a big one for us. So that's another way of measuring your impact. These are not the only ways, believe me. I'm just giving you examples of how you can go through this process, or how you may go through this process. Because saying, oh, you need a purpose, otherwise you're not going to get any money, it's not all that helpful to you. You need to have some sort of a framework, some sort of a pathway. The next big thing is partnerships. Impactful partnerships. Now, you ladies talked about partnerships and creating partnerships with like-minded people. It's about finding our people, your people. Who knows the Simon Sinek stuff? Start with why? Yeah. We start with who. Start with who. Who are people like us? Who are the people that we want to partner with, want to deal with? And that's what the finance industry is saying now. Possibly not for altruistic reasons. I'll give another example from our environmental company. Obviously, if you're going to deal with the BHPs and the Rio Tintos of the world, you need to have insurance. You've got to have vast amounts of insurance. So we have to have public liability and professional indemnity insurance. So ours always comes up in June. So we go to try and get some new stuff. Many, many underwriters just won't even touch it. Coal. But we're the good guys. Please, sir, we're the good guys. We're the environmental company. We're keeping everybody honest. No, coal. So our professional indemnity insurance doubled, and one of the quotes was double that. So because we are associated with the coal industry, we got all these questions too from, we noticed that you are 70, X% of your revenue is from coal. How much is met coal and how much is thermal coal? And we noticed that you work for a power generator. Is that a coal-fired power generator? And what plans does your company have to move away from the coal industry? bit intrusive, but that's what's happening. Okay, that's insurance, not financing. But what do you think the insurance companies do with all that money that they get? They invest it. And if they're not going to insure me, they're sure as hell not going to invest in me. So, the next framework is communications, or the next thing is your narrative, your stories to give out to the world. Now, this one here, has anyone seen this before? This is, I can't remember the name of the guy. This is the guy, this is a model, and I may or may not remember it. The guy that did all Barack Obama's messaging before he was elected president. You know, that amazing on-ground campaign that he had? This was organised by this guy. So that's just one possible framework for telling your stories and generating your stories. Performance. The last one is performance. How are you actually performing against this? Again, there's many opportunities. You know, has anyone heard of being a certified B Corporation? Yeah? Are you a certified B Corporation? No. A B Corporation.
Harris Farms is interesting. Harris Farms are active
Okay.
as a retailer. My understanding is they'll be the first Australian retailer to get certified.
A certified B Corporation is a company or an organisation that's been through a very comprehensive assessment of their impacts. And we thought about doing it several years ago, and I didn't because we had the 2008 flood, and that took everything away. And then now it will take you 12 months to even get your initial assessment. So many companies and organisations are going down this line of becoming a certified B Corporation. There's 1% for the planet. There's measuring your carbon dioxide footprint. There's Pledge 1%. Donut economics. Anyone heard of donut economics? Sorry. Oh, Helen has? Yeah. Donut economics is the principle that there is a donut where we're all safe. We're fed, we're clothed. People who fall into the middle of the donut are going without. If we go outside the donut, we've expended the world's resources. And we've actually blown outside the donut on so many things at the moment. Biodiversity, so many things. So there's all these different types of impact measurement things that you can avail yourself of. So, last question, where are you? Where's your organisation? We use this little sort of bell curve. So down the bottom, we've called them the dollar-driven companies. They're still back with Milton Friedman in the 70s. The purpose of a corporation is to make a profit. That's it. They're the old style companies. So those companies have not yet passed what we call a fear and ignorance barrier. They're still operating a whole generation ago. The next slide, which is actually the most companies, most organisations, they're the passengers. Yeah, we just go along. We don't break the law. We just do what we've got to do. Stick by the rules. We don't, stick our head above the parapet at all. The next lot are what we call the 1990s businesses. They're the Simon Sinek businesses. They're the ones, they run a really good business. They've got their vision statement, got their mission statement. They've, been to, HR school. They run a good business and profitable. And unfortunately, there's a good enough barrier there. Yeah, well, you know, we're good. We run a good business. But for the ones who can step over that, they become what we call a 21st century business. They're purpose-driven, they're regenerative, they're positive, they earn their trust, etc., etc. And they get the dollars, which is why we're all here talking about they're the ones that they're going to get the money. So the last thing I wanted to say today is to actually give a challenge to everyone who's in the room. Now, I know many of you are all over this, but unless you take action on purpose, your customers will do it for you. And in the end, you won't have a business. So that's my last slide. We are still early, so if anyone would like to ask any questions or have a general discussion about this, I can talk about this stuff until the cows come home, because it...
In one of the slides you had the purpose and then the what. Yeah, those circles. Where you go purpose, brand, impact. So in there, I'm just wondering where you put organisational policies, because maybe it's impact and leadership.
Impact and leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just because that's where I find that some companies don't actually their purpose or their values in context doesn't actually, they don't then look at their policies and go, oh, actually our policies are like there's no alignment of policies with the values. And so, and it's an area that I think, it was interesting this morning actually with, I think,
Belinda, yeah, she did a really good presentation.
We talked about the values and things, but but I think it's actually values and then it's behaviours, then it's actions. So behaviours and systems and culture come from the values, and then from that we then can brainstorm all the how-tos and the specific actions that take place, and that gives us a really great action plan for operationalising our values and embedding our values throughout the entire organisation, and day to day and every day. Then the organisation is living their values.
Agreed, 100%, because all of those actions, like what your actions are driven by.
Well, they need to be drawn from your
Yes.
values.
Yes.
They're at the end of the line. You have your values first. You then work out those behaviour systems of culture, and opportunities and environment you have to create, and then you from that. Okay, if we want that, well, what can we do every day, or what do we have to put in place on a regular basis in order to live that, in order to live the values. And so there's a seamless and it's a wonderful transparency, which is you were talking about. Of actually being able to say, what am I doing and why are we doing it?
But I think when you raised the example with your website, the fact that someone had been to your website and said, yeah, I want to work with you because I think this whole churn thing it's huge. And people, the great resignation, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do think that there are going to be people that will fundamentally shift where they're employed and move to companies where they feel that they have as you said the whole way through, more of a purpose. And I think that companies that are clever will be ready to capture those people when they move. And it's not going to be a mass exodus, it's not going to be like the Bison migration or anything like that, but it's going to be a pretty continual flow.
I think there are people, like you said earlier on that picture about what the types of businesses there are, there's people also that fit in that kind of category. So the people that you're referring to are the ones that want to make an impact personally and care about things bigger and beyond themselves, kind of thing. They'll be the ones that will move, but and they're the ones also that predominantly are the innovative, creative, and people. So the lost opportunity for the business is someone else's gain opportunity, but it's the same. There'll always be people that will stay in those businesses and and they'll never shift to the other side because that's not even good. Like, it's just the way they do it, and eventually that'll evolve. But I agree. I'm not sure about how big the resignation, but I definitely think there are people that are going to move where they feel that they can have more impact and be more impactful based on purpose.
And as you said, the ones that will move, which is human nature, will be that, as you said, the innovative,
Yeah,
the very ones we want to capture.
yeah, that's
The
right.
stodgy ones that are going to stay the same, well,
That's
They
right.
can
They
stay
can
the
stay
same.
where, yeah, that's
we don't want them anyway. They're probably not moving because that, that's.
At least the marketplace will fill with who we want.
That's right. Yeah.
There was a couple of those questions that you did on the phone that, I have resigned from. I've left a company that did not align with my values, and millennials will take a pay cut rather than stay at a company that does not align with their values.
My kids won't.
I did that when I left government.
Okay, I know. Yeah.
Indigenous
Yep. So you didn't want to spend the rest of your life feeling happy and unhappy and unfulfilled.
We just wanted that more.
Yeah, it's more. I didn't want to be surrounded by people that felt safe in their job and therefore
Yeah, they stop thinking. That's true.
without
Have you got a pulse today?
saying I was only there 2 years.
You do need to check someday.
Can you fog up a mirror? Come work for me. That's sometimes what it's like. But at heart, we humans love connection. That's what we did in our prehistoric societies. We connected. We had family groups, and then we lost that with industrialisation. We then went our separate ways, and religion served part of that purpose. The belonging, it had rules, had rituals, and then the prevalence of religion in Western societies has definitely died. I'm not advocating religion, okay? I'm just saying that institution provided a lot of that purpose and sense of belonging. We're now switching back to people actually wanting that connection and wanting to feel as though they're part of something and contributing to something.
I'm not advocating religion either. I'm brought up Anglican, I guess. I'm not practicing or any of those sorts of things. But I've read some very interesting articles just in late, and some of it comes from more of the right-wing media, I guess. Peter Credlin wrote an interesting article. She writes lots of interesting articles. Bizarre in some cases, but democracy and where we are as Western society, a lot of that has been because of a common set of values from our faith and from all of those things. So I'm interested with the census data saying a lot of people are not identifying with religion. That's fine, but it doesn't mean, as you say, you throw it right out or adopt it 100%, but it has actually been a big part of Western society. It's filled a gap, as you said, a pretty big gap, and it's given us a lot of framework. So I'm always a little bit intrigued by some people that think we could sort of move past it without accepting just how much of a bedrock it is to the Westminster system, to democracy.
I think that COVID though made a few things different. I think that at the beginning COVID, not from a health perspective but a work perspective, working from home, everyone loved it for a while, or maybe loved it for a long while. But I think it got to the point where people understood that the connections weren't there. It was a very different interaction. You lost some innovation and you lost some of the social aspects of the things. And I think that is what people have realised is what people need. And whether it's religion or not, I think it's the connection of people, irrespective of why they're getting together, whether it's they love dancing, whether they love pottery, whether it's religion, singing, whatever the purpose of connection, I think it's that. And more people are connecting to that as opposed to, and I agree, I was interested too about, well, why is it going? And I think that's what it is. People are, there's so much religion and there's so much views and all of those kind of things, and people I just want to be. you know, and maybe it's not, they've still got their own personal views on religion, they'll keep going, but they just want to be
But then
connected.
it's also, it actually speaks to that results and impact and outcomes.
Yeah.
Well, what is the outcome of a religion? Like, what's the track record? Not great.
Yeah.
No good.
You know, and
No
you just
good.
think, well, there's, and if we are
And the young
now
people of
asking
today are
that
looking-
next question,
That's right.
and we're wanting outcomes, and we're wanting actually, which are aligned to our values and how we want to see the world, and all we're seeing with religion is not super outcomes. You know, there's,
Sorry.
it is just a, that's possibly another angle in which we could look at that. You know, just put it out there.
Yeah, I agree.
As with being better educated and trusted scientists more, when religion is full of questions.
Yeah. It's also,
They don't answer the modern world. Plus, they exclude too many people. You've got to
Yeah.
be sick and all.
I am no fan of religion, believe me.
Yeah.
It's just good.
It's just social.
But going back to COVID, it was interesting how it's put the focus back on the labor.
Yeah.
I found, because I was living on Thursday Island for 7 years till I came down to Cairns on 13th of March, and I was overseas on the 19th of March.
You weren't going anywhere in March.
No, but my partner had just done a month in Sri Lanka and a month in Malaysia, and I was catching up with him in Asia, and then he'd come home and I didn't get my holiday. So it's still a sore point.
Done it.
It sounds like you're largely over it. Yeah.
You was robbed.
But I was in Cairns when lockdown happened, so, and that's where home is, because I was working at TI. And I think for me, being a tourist town, we always had such diversity in who was in town. And suddenly we didn't have tourists, and I got to see what Cairns looked like. And it was amazing how, like, the strong African community, the strong Nepalese community, we were aware of our Indigenous communities there, but just this suddenly without tourists, and yet we're still really diverse. It was so lovely to see, and I think
That is
that's-
fascinating.
Yeah, and it's something that I think everybody in Cairns was talking about. You know, we actually got to finally see what we look like. It was really humbling.
That's incredible.
So,
Yeah.
it's
That's
also incredible when you say you came down to Cairns. Like for us Southerners,
Yeah.
you say, "Oh, you came down." I'm going, hang on. Cairns is not even a long way out.
As someone that grew up in central West New South Wales in Blaney and Bathurst, the coldest parts of the world.
Yeah.
7 years on TI, come down to Cairns and it'll be cold.
had to get that leather jacket out. Yeah. So, thank you for your insights, everybody. This is an evolving piece of work, not just for all of us in business and organisations. It's an evolving piece of work for me. My third book is going to be somewhere around this stuff because there's just so much happening. We're undergoing a 50, 100-year shift in our societies, in our organisations, in our communities, and it's actually really, really exciting. I'm not of the good old days group. I think we've got some amazing challenges ahead of us, but we've also got some amazing opportunities.
Well, this is talking about the future.
Yeah.
If you go into the future, so you go to we all want to go ahead. We're sort of roaring down the road at 100 k's an hour or more if you're Helen. Because we've got that big road thing through the middle of Australia.
Oh, she has to slow down in the bits that haven't been tarred yet.
If you want to go ahead, you look ahead. You glance in the rearview mirror to know where you come from. Very respectful of history and all those sorts of things. But if you drive 100 k's down the road staring in the rearview mirror, you're going to run off the road. And it's a really simple analogy, but I use it with businesses all the time. And I say, yes, you have a rearview mirror, you glance there, you look there, but you don't stare. You stare ahead, you look ahead. You want to, especially if you want to go at pace. And it's really simple, but you know, I do look back. But
It's,
you know.
I think it's, you draw on that. I mean, we learn from mistakes to be able to go forward. But I also think this whole topic is and values-based decision making, or even like we're embracing it with the Outback Way, with the sustainable development of whole corridor of going into communities with seeking their values and what they want it to look like when they have a sealed road past their door. They have to own that. It's actually that ownership. And without those values and that core thing, they're not, it's not going to fly. And also, it's community development 101. But it's, but then with this whole layer of potential investment then, when we have that and they're building up their case, then it's going to, because it's going to be purpose driven, there's a whole heap of, opportunity for non-government investment, and that's exciting. It's an exciting, enabling communities to make the most of this opportunity that they want, but on their terms, and in the way in which they want to interface with a busy road potentially, and so that to me is a very good, it's going to be a great byproduct of doing it correctly from within the communities and for by the communities, not for them, but with them, and it's that with, not for them.
Just very,
We are over time, guys. That's
We're about to go to dinner anyway.
I just say just very briefly, it's dawned on me from the last census that Gen X said that I'm going to have people power because they've just been overtaken by millennials before baby boomers died out. But the millennials have the ethics, but they don't have the spending power. It's still the wealth still sits with baby boomers.
Yeah.
Do we need that transfer of wealth to the millennials before we see this?
I don't believe so, no. It's happening now, and it has been happening for about a decade. But up until now, it's been in the academic journals, it's been in the fringe press, like The Guardian,
Very free.
the very fringe press. Now, yeah, I was saying that facetiously. But now it's in the Financial Review. It's even in the Courier Mail and the Australian, God forbid. This is now mainstream, and we've heard a lot of it. It's just very interesting to me. A lot of speakers have spoken about this at this conference.
A little bit of not self-interest, but only because I know the guys. Last weekend's Weekend Australian, there was a really interesting piece on impact agriculture.
Yep.
Based in Armidale in New England, obviously in New South Wales. But they've done a whole heap of work for the Murdoch family. Rupert Murdoch just bought an $80 million property in Montana, and Impact Ag from Australia are going over to the US to turn it all to regenerative agriculture. Don't get me started on that, it's another whole topic, but it's a really interesting article, and what blew me away, all jokes aside, was it was actually in Australia, because Australia hasn't always been the bastion of such articles.
No.
The owner of the Australia happens to be Rupert Murdoch, so that might have had something to do with it too. But if anyone does still keep a hard copy, if they subscribe online and get a hard copy delivered, very old school, it's actually worth a look.
Okay, I'll do that because I get a digital edition. I think we do have to wrap up, guys. I didn't put this in my presentation, but there's only a few of us here. I love this model. This is where we are now, right? This is where we are now, 2022 post-COVID. We've got a couple of choices with our organisations. We can either just drift along, do the same thing as we've always been doing, and we're going to finish up down here, just being a spectator in the world. And we've got a couple of other options in the middle. But for those of us who are willing to step up, strap up, and move up, we are the ones that are on this trajectory. And as you can see, the longer time goes on, the harder it is to make up the difference. So in 10 years' time, the organisations that are 10 years ahead are already doing well, then these guys are really not going to have a hope in hell of trying to catch up in another 10 years. Sure, I can send it to you.
That would be good if you wouldn't mind adding that to when you send the
Yep.
slides. That would be really cool. I've got text fingers, it's hard to read myself.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I know we've been a small audience, but I have absolutely loved your engagement, and you've given me lots more material and things to think about.